Hey there, thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Alliance Forever. Today I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxis map generator. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting up with Team 1 in the north, ending with Team 2 in the south. Starting up with Team 1's northeasternmost player in Emerald Green, we have Master of Seasons going first line as a UEF has a 1300. To his south in orange, the color orange, it is Lesnor 2 going first line as another UEFA for his team. He is a 1500. Moving out west, we see in glow in the dark green, Original Angel going first and second land as an Aeon. He is a 1300. In ruby red to his northeast is Babel going first, land second air probably, and then land all day. He is a 1300 in ruby red as an Aeon. And last but not least, there is the amethyst purple player of Snog. He's going first line as another UEFA for Team 1. He is a 2000 rated player, the highest ranked player on Team 1 and in the game overall. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 3 UEF and 2 Aeon, which means no Cybran and no Seraphim technology for Team 1. Starting off with a Team 2's southeastern player in Chevy Crimson, we have Cascade going first line as an Aeon. He is a 1900, the highest ranked player on Team 2. To his northwest, the one and only Cybran of the game is Regulation going first line. He is in Rust as a 1300. In Pac-Man Yellow to his south, one of the 2 Cybrans here on Team 2, it is the Mini Can going first land. He is a 1400. The other Seraphim here on Team 2 is in Laddish Red Pink. It is Sassin going first land. He is a 1600. And actually, there's 2 Cybrans here on Team 2. It is Mutulal going first land. He is a 1300. In the best color in all of Supreme Commanderdom, Forest Green. So on Team 2 side of the map, there are 2 Cybrans, 2 Seraphim, and 1 Aeon. Team 2 lacks UEF tech. Team 1 lacks Seraphim and Cybran tech. Let's take a look at the Reclaim, currently still on the map for a place to scoop up. And for 10 players, they have 42,000 Reclaim, which means there is 4.2k mass per player to scoop up if it was divided evenly, which it never is. But of course, there is that nice little average to kind of get an idea of how much mass is on the field. Taking a look at Team 1 side of the map, they have a Trimax in this northeastern corner. The grab most likely will go to Master of Seasons. We have a Quad Mechs right kind of next door to that. A Trimax, a Quad Mechs, another Quad Mechs. And that's pretty much it. There's a couple of mass points in front and behind of the main bases of the players. And I guess there is a nice string of mexes in the middle here on a couple plateau and kind of on the edges of the map. But besides that, really not, let's say slim pickings, but there's a decent amount of mexes to pick up. And that looks like it is going to be it for the introductions and map overall. I don't see any huge, not differences, but divides between rankings. We have the 2000 in the northwestern corner and the 1900 in the southeastern corner, so opposite each other, of course. And realistically, between 13 and 15, I mean, we have a 1600 as well. Very kind of tight between those ratings. And, of course, we do see 1500 averaging for Team 2 and 1480 averaging for Team 1 at 93%. So, again, very, very good matchups here for these players. Definitely not one-sided in one regard. Let's go ahead and see what's going on. The only thing that I might see that might be an issue for some players is we have Master of Seasons on the eastern edge of the map is going up against a 1900, and Team 2's Mutulal, a 1300, is going up against Snog in the western side of the map. And that's just due to the fact that the players, of course, are in mirrored positions, so they're not always going to be going against one another. But I wouldn't be surprised to see both the corner players go for air, as illustrated by the fact that Team 1 Snog has a transport laden with some engineers on board moving southward, going after this upper plateau section with some mass and nice little rock there. 3 mexes up there. Nice artillery position here for Team 1 to grab. We do see, of course, Mutulal is moving westward, going to secure that part of the map. Already has units securing the southeastern corner, preventing any sort of drops that could occur. There hasn't been any as of yet. They've only been right there, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a bomber or 2 outbound from one of the players on Team 2 to deal with those engineers up there. It's already been pinged, and of course that facility is being built to, of course, secure engineers up there. Even if they do end up being killed off, Team 1 still has a presence in that upper plateau. See a lot of fanning out here for both teams. Team 1, we have 4 of the 5 players who left their main base. Team 2, we have 4 of the 5 players as well that have left their main base. Looks like the mini Ken going to be in the rear here. He might go air as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see that. We also see his mirror in the north of Babel doing the exact same thing. And so they're prepping for probably a dual air player game. That definitely does kind of lead some credence to the fact that, of course, the corner players are going for the edges of the map. Same kind of drop was outbound from Cascade, does land, and immediately starts that T1 land facility and then goes for a nice little P-gen and a radar. And I think that's an AA emplacement as well to help secure this for his team and was his side of the map. And here's some fighting and some interceptors somewhere there. They are over here to the west. Interceptors fighting interceptors here between the teams. T2 upgrade going down immediately here for Muchalal. Not going to go for a gun upgrade. I mean, he is pretty far from his opponent of Snog, so his upgrade will finish off. He'll be able to secure that very nicely. He might even go for some Gunthers or even just maybe T2 land just to put some missile launchers up there to be able to deal with that plateau of units. We do see the orange players starting to kind of crash into one another. That being, of course, Legend Lore and Regulation. I always want to say Revelation or Rigatoni, one of the two. So I'm just trying to essentially stop myself every time I want to say one of those. Looks like Mutula is having a little bit of a struggle going for that. Looks like he's asking for some energy. It looks like he's sending some of his mass to Sassine. And he, don't know what he's going for right now. Doesn't see any upgrades on the cars so far. No other upgrade. Oh, actually, scratch that. The opposing player of Master of Seasons, the mirror here for Muchalal, also going for T2. He is a UEF, so he has a little bit more tankiness on his chassis than his Cybern mirror. But, of course, there is the Cascade commander who could go for advanced range and outrange that UEF commander. But we could just see what happens with that. Would be surprised to see Cascade go for that advanced range, considering he is on the front line. He's all by himself. He definitely needs that support. And kind of a slower game round. We see a push outbound here from Team 1's forces from both Babel and from Original Angel. Original Angel already has the sensor package on board. Is able to see a decent amount of the map, as well as his teammate of Babel, another Aeon. He might go for just the standard speed and range upgrades, but we'll see if that actually does occur or not. Interceptors over the top, getting a nice space clear for maybe some bombers outbound to try to force back Snog on the western side. I don't know if that's going to materialize anytime soon. There's a huge buildup of engineers here on this lower section of the plateau. We might see a distance build up here from Sassine to get a facility up there. Obviously, he can send units around, but he's now currently being invaded by Team 1's forces. Large production facilities online here for Sassine. Has 8 of them already online, just pumping out T1 units, really going into that early land spam here. The orange players kind of going back and forth a little bit. Not really a lot of poking and prodding going on. Maybe a little bit of testing waters, but column of units outbound from the green player in the northeastern corner for Master of Seasons. Going after the Cascade, he's going for a land upgrade. The only disadvantage here is unless those strikers do group up, Cascade will be easily able to take those out just due to the fact that they're kind of coming in by 1s and 2s. Petey going to come online, going to use that to defend. And I don't see any other things. It looks like artillery shells coming to attack the reclaim. Don't really know what was up with that. A shot did land in that middle of the reclaim, but we see some artillery pieces here for Team 2's Cascade being able to attack these units sitting here for Master of Seasons. Master of Seasons hasn't given them orders to move yet. They are given orders, but they're grouped up a little bit too nicely for those artillery pieces to really just lay the smackdown on those T1 strikers and other units. So Master of Seasons not really in the best way of that. He will send his units forward, but the PD is now online, giving Cascade a lot of firepower to deal with these units. So he'll be fine on that side of the map. We still haven't seen any comm-on-comm action here. We're at 9 minutes on the clock. And both of these teams kind of being very cautious with the commanders. The only one that's very far forward that I would consider a little bit, not out of his element, but a little bit maybe too far forward, is Sassine. Doesn't have an upgrade, doesn't have any veterancy, so kind of just hanging out. We do see, of course, Original Angel has advanced range and speed. So once he is in range of Sassine, Sassine won't be able to fire back, and that will give the advantage to Angel's commander. We do see stealth coming on the way here for Regulation. He has the gun already, and so he might just go for nano outright. He is trying to push back his opponent's forces of some PD, as well as a decent amount of engineers just constantly reclaiming here. Legendor trying to get the reclaim before his opponent of a Regulation can. In the west, still no fighting, at least the direct fighting going on between Snog and Mutulal. Mutulal has a TMD online to protect himself. Is now going for Gunthers to start shelling this position up here. Units just in a patrol just to, again, not be easy shots. We do see some missile launchers online as well to be able to, again, poke and prod at Snogs. Nice little fire base up there. T2 units online. There are some Mongies. There are some Triads as well online here for Master of Seasons. Cascade is going to be forced back here from this position. Doesn't have any upgrades on board. Doesn't even have range or anything. So definitely a missed opportunity there for Cascade. He's actually being forced back by Master of Seasons. And he has some PD. He has some T2 units. Don't see any tanks. But we do see a nice little parachute and a decent amount of Mongies. He's keeping the Mongies back, which is very, very good. Leading with his commander. And only moving those units in when he is able to. Cascade is underneath a shield bubble for the time being. A nice little asylum. Wants those Mongies to come into range so he can take them out. But of course, Cascade going to be protected at least for a little bit from Master of Seasons commander. Still no direct comm. Well, I guess that was comm action here between those two players. So the first of the game here at 10.5 minutes. Gun damage and range upgrade going on the way here for Legend Lore. And Sassine has fallen back due to the advanced range and speed upgrade commander, the Aeon Sniper commander of Original Angel. We do see Snog pushing in with some forces, bringing in more. Looks like engineers going for T2, going for some nice TMD to deter the missile launchers that are running rampage down here from Mutulal. Gun speed and range started here for Sassine. Probably should fall back a little bit more, probably hide right about there. Would be a better bet. And Team 2's Regulation pushes forward with that stealth and gun comm. And he is being shot at by some T2 PD, staying out of range of the T1s. We do see a lot of assistance outbound from Sassine to come and cover him. And this is a huge amount of units. If he's going to, again, shove that through a small corridor, it's going to be a lot of issues with the pathfinding and all of that here for those two armies. So again, being very careful with that. We do see gun and range coming on the way here for Legendary. He's almost done with that upgrade. And Team 2's Cascade does make it out with his Asylum assistant, but he has been forced back here in this section of the map. We do see some not the fighter bombers outbound here from the mini can. There is some AA in the area and some flak as well, so those bombers will maybe get a second pass, but one of them does get killed off, so not really worth the investment to continue to harass that commander. And now we see the influx of units outbound here from both Sassine and Regulation. Regulation being the main driving force. And it does look like those forces from Sassine going to mop up those engineers and Team 1 Mechs. We do see some pillars online here for Team 1. Team 2 is the one doing attacking. And some Titans online. So while Legendor played a little bit more defensive, going for a nice little fire base with his PD not being able to fire over that little cliffside there. We do see some T3 Titans. And this will completely halt the momentum here for Team 2's Regulation in the middle. Nano Repair has been started here. He's suffered a decent amount of hit point loss. So he'll be wrapped that up pretty nicely. Strap Bomber outbound here from Team 1's Babel. And as I mentioned, it looks like he did go for air. Team 1's Western player of Snog did not go for air, very surprisingly. Team 2, again, same thing over there. So it looks like it's only going to be 1v1 in the air for the time being. But Strap Bomber being online definitely gives a huge advantage. Going after some T3 Mechs, trying to hover bomb there. Slows down a little bit, tries to avoid the shots from that ASF. The bomber is at 1,800 mass killed. And does it get the last bomb off? No, it does not. We'll leave behind 1,000 mass. I was going to say 1,000, but it would be accurate, but 1,000 sounds weird. Well, not 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 is 1,000. My brain is confusing. Anyway, leaves 1,000 mass there. Killed off 1,800. Definitely worth the wait in spending it. Not a huge ROI, return on investment, but again, it's positive, so that's better than nothing. Nano Repair is over 60% done. PD creep starting to occur once again here from Legend Lord 2, and he's pushing in with his Comm and T2 and some Titans as well. So, of course, this will force back Team 2. Once that upgrade finishes, I wouldn't be surprised if he falls back to this position and gets his facilities up online. We do see some pushback, or at least some, from some T3 Harmagers outbound here from Cascade, forcing back this little bit of missile launching, as well as no tanks here. There is a nice little parashield, but that's going to be ripped to shreds very, very quickly. And Master of Seasons, again, being a little bit slow. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because he's being very meticulous with just pushing forward, establishing a nice front line. He's probably going to push probably this position right here, get a nice little fire base on that. The only downside, though, is, of course, there could be, you know, artillery pieces put up here for Cascade. You could put missile launchers up here. You could put a whole bunch of stuff that can't be fired upon by the units down there. You guys be very careful with that narrow corridor. There's a lot of flanking opportunity on that eastern side. Still, Snog has not pushed in to try to force back Muchalal. Muchalal just staying put. Snog very perfectly fine with what he has and just wants to sit there and eco up. He is at 100 mass income so far. Almost everybody on Team 1 is at 100 mass except for Original Angel at 63. Team 2 has Cascade as 200, so he's really ecoing up here in this game. And in terms of the ecos overall, Team 2 is in the lead at 650 versus a little bit over 500 for Team 1. So about 130 mass difference between the two teams there, and most of that going into the coffers of Cascade. He is at T3 land. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see him go for an early Colossus, or maybe he'll get some tech from his teammate of Regulation and go for an early Monkey. We do see those Titans starting to force back Regulation, speaking of which, and they're being escorted by some pillars here. And we see some more Titans outbound here, so Regulation just, you know, suffering constantly, both on the eastern side of his forces and the western side, just being essentially poked and prod, constant poke and prodded constantly. Outbound attack here from Sassin, going after that Aeon Sniper commander of Original Angel. Lots of firepower going down on that commander. Will be the first evacuee of the game. Overcharge and assisting firepower from those units will kill off Team 1's first player. And Babel takes that AoE explosion to the face. He drops into the yellow. So does Sassin, but Sassin is at 96 hit points a second regen, and Babel's only at 16. Babel will retreat, and Sassin will do the same. He probably could have tried to go after that, but he will be grateful for the assistance. And then, of course, some sarcasm outbound from Original Angel says thanks for the help. I'm assuming, of course, he's talking about Babel, who was nearby. Yep, that is who he was talking about. PDR online. Snog will gain everything that Original Angel had. Probably could gift it over to Babel since he's literally right there. But I'm going to be surprised if Snog just holds on to that for the time being. T2 units on the upper plateau being annihilated by some T1 units. There are some Ilshis, of course, assisting with that, and some artillery. Looks like it's firing from below the plateau's ridgeline. And I think there's some artillery as well, so they can both fire at one another. It looks like some TMD also being built around Snog to defend his commander. Doesn't want to get sniped by some TMLs. And it looks like some Titans make it past the main battle line here for Team 2. Getting into the rear, going after some T2 Mechs, trying to snipe at that eco a little bit. And, of course, Engineers is on that ringing of the Mechs here. Team 2 doesn't really have a response to this, at least for the time being. A lot of T1 units, a couple of T2 Rhinos in the mist, but again, Titans are pretty quick. They're pretty speedy. You have to be, gotta have some bombers online here. Wouldn't be surprised to see, yep, Gunship is outbound from the mini-can, going for those Volthus. Does Team 1 have a response in the air? He has some ASFs actually flying over Team 2's bases here, so they could easily respond to that threat. Gunship also online here for Team 1. It's a Spectre. Definitely a good choice there in going after those Mexes first. Take out the eco and then take out everything else. Gunship able to deter one of the Titans with some assistance from some T2 units. Also, we have a nice little bouncer being able to target ground units. Of course, the accuracy on that thing is not great, but it's better than nothing. Bouncer does get targeted by those Titans, but the Titans try to move out of range. Titans were able to kill off, you know, a couple Mexes, a couple being 3. So I'd say a little more than, literally one more than a couple, but we do see some other units outbound from Team 1's Legend Lore sitting in between the forces from Regulation and the forces from Cascade. Cascade on a RAS upgrade, and I don't even know if he probably knows that they're there. No, he doesn't even know that they're there. Team 1 doesn't know that these units are just sitting there. And we know that Team 1's but Legend Lord probably won't push in. We're probably just going to hang out for the time being, spy plane over top, getting a nice little view of what's going on. We'll notice, of course, the T3 land facility. Of course, at this stage, everyone should pretty much be at T3, especially Snog being at dual bases, which he is. And we see more of an attack outbound here from Snog. Looks like it's getting a little bit of pushback here, mostly T2, some T1 in the midst. And artillery pieces, again, focused on taking out the upper plateau. Done a pretty good job taking out the actual land facility, so no more engineers can be built, need to be transported up there. And there are some still facilities up there, but at least for the time being, they've dealt with any reinforcements that can be brought very, very easily there, just by literally building them there. We have rhinos versus pillars here, and artillery still firing at that upper plateau. Looks like the numbers will favor Team 2 for the time being, but those units from Team 1 Snog will try to push in, get a little bit more damage. Probably should just go after the artillery piece, kill that off entirely. And now some loyalists online, bringing their EMP weapons to bear. Mutolad nearby with his gun upgrade, going to be able to deal with those units running by over there. And now we see some mobile AA coming online here for Team 2, trying to snipe at those ASFs. Gunships trying to be dealt with here by those ASFs from Team 2's mini can, and now more gunships outbound here from Babel. Looks like he was waiting for them to regroup, and still more gunships. There is some AA in the midst there for these Team 1 and T2 units. You even see a T3 brick in there as well, so Team 2 investing a decent amount in mobile AA. And now we see just gunships trying to raid regulation. Did those units go anywhere? Yes, they did. It went down over here. Volthus on station, as well as a heaping horde of Team 1 bombers just overkilling a couple of those units. They did kill a couple more mechs off for Team 2. The gap has narrowed here between the mass incomes here at 19, almost 20 minutes. Team 2 at 760, 750. Looks like probably say 800. Team 1 at 730, so 70 versus what it was at 150, 130 earlier on. So definitely cut that gap in half. Now we see some T3 mobile missile launchers and artillery online here for Team 1's Legend Lord. Man after my own heart, going for the play of I'm going to shoot at you at range so you can't shoot at me, so I don't have to worry about casualties thing. Will it work out for him? We will just have to see. Regulation is going to fall back. He's going to lose this production facility, but he does have a nice one over here as well with his T3 land headquarters. And Snog trying to push into Sassine's territory. Large, no, not large, but decent group of units here for regulation. Being pinged saying, hey, you should call those forward. Does look like they will be. Harbingers being just beaten down by T1 and T2 units. No T3 outbound for Sassine, but he does have the Regen Ore, and I think that is the advanced model. No, he doesn't have enough hit points for the advanced model. That's only the initial one. Again, harder to tell with the Regen Ore versus the Nano. Nano, I can easily tell the difference because all four of the quarter circles are filled in, but the Regen Ore definitely looks like it's only the half. No, it is the full. Okay, the half kind of looks like the Nano, so it's the middle circle I have to pay attention to, not the outer one. Anyway, so advanced regen online here for Sassine, being able to wrap up those units very, very quickly. Especially being T1, definitely a good investment if you're going to sit with your units, but the downside is when there's a large land army that you're facing, if you don't have the adequate support for your commander, it's not going to go well. Counter artillery online here for Team 1 Snog, going for the, of course, ringing of the artillery to get the fire rate nice and quick. We do see one lonely little Zathutham going to be annihilated by that Klinkhammer. And now it looks like Mutolad going for more bases, going to actually just reclaim a couple of his facilities. Looks like he's actually reclaiming all of them. Or maybe that an attack outbound just kind of forced him to say, I'm going to cut losses and call it a day. At 22 minutes on the clock, at least almost, Team 1 has 4 players left. Team 2 has 5 players left. Team 2 has crossed 1.1k mass income. Well, they're teetering between 1,000 and 1.1, so let's just say 1.1. Team 1 at 900. We were just commenting earlier how that gap is narrowed, but now it's even widened, almost 200 mass more for Team 2. And that's partly due to the fact that Cascade on one base is at 400 and almost 50 mass. Team 1 Snog at dual bases is sitting at almost 300, and we see the minican at 300 as well. So Team 2 really just scaling their eco here, specifically Cascade. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win the game. Please, if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course. Thank you so very much for watching. this point in the video. I really do appreciate it. And we see Team 2's Cascades pumping units out with that eco. Large amounts of AA and Harbingers are online. He's currently sitting at 49 Harbingers, and he's building a Colossus. And it's in the yellow, so it's over 25% completed there. And he is forcing back the Master of Seasons. Team 2 might be able to get another kill here. There's a couple of artillery pieces running around. But once they get to the edge of the little plateau, unfortunately, those shots are able to hit them. So these units are very careful. Percy's online here for Master of Seasons, but there's not the amount of units on the ground that will deter this. Gunships in the air over top. Where's the AA here for Team 2? These units are going to get slaughtered here. Air cover says Original Angel. Probably talking about the gunships. ASFs are inbound here from the Minikin to assist. A couple of Harbingers will be killed off due to that nice little squadron of gunships. But, the ASFs trying to catch up to those gunships. Gunships trying to move out of range. ASFs will engage. Team 1 will definitely get the better engagement for the time being. And it looks like it will be pretty close, but Team 1's Babel will definitely net a little bit more kills, especially with Team 2's ASF fleeing here. The Minikin suffering losses that he doesn't really need to, in the sense that he could go for some kills on those ASFs. Now the ASFs here for Babel will go deep into Team... Well, not really deep, but to the front line of Team 2's territory. Oh, and by the way, Team 1 sitting probably about 55-60% of the map. Team 2 at about 45-40, just because Team 1's definitely in the middle of the map, at least mostly. Harbingers getting into this production base, going after 4 of those mechs is here for Team 1's Master of Seasons. T2 mechs is also under threat. Multiple experimentals built at the same time. Mutulao builds an experimental, most likely a monkey. Yes, he built his monkey. And did Team 2's other Cyber player go for monkey? No, he did not. And that makes me think maybe there's a Colossus. Nope, that's not done yet. Who was that other? I thought it was probably... Oh, no, it's the Fat Boy. I thought it was a green player. Master of Seasons has his Fat Boy online. Definitely will assist with defensive measures on this eastern side, but the damage is decently done. Harbinger's trying to get to this group of mechs is up in the northeast, that Trimax. A couple of Team 1 bombers outbound also from Legend Noise, so multiple teammates on Team 1 trying to help out with dealing with this group of Harbingers. But Shield's going to come back online here pretty shortly, protected from a decent amount of shots, and these T3 mexes are dead in the water, or in this case land. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mexes down for Master of Seasons. He's only at 144 mass income at 25 minutes. It prevents Team 1. They probably crossed 1,000 a little bit ago, but then they dropped right back down due to that loss in the northeast. And that Fat Boy will definitely secure the eastern approach for the time being, but the mission is done for Cascade, limiting the eco reserves and infrastructure for Team 1's eastern player. Advanced Nano coming online here for Sassine. Wants to make sure he's protected. Going to get gifted over a monkey from Mutulao. Mutulao going to focus on laser. We might see an early teleportation. I mean, he could go for it. He doesn't really have a land presence, just more of some TMD. I think he had... Does he have a missile launcher? No, those are just TMDs. More and more to protect mixes, but not really going for massive land spam. So we'll see if he's going to be more of a... logistical slash I mean, if he goes for the laser, that'd be very interesting, but just don't know. I mean, he can't... I mean, not the laser, but the telemaser. I just don't know if it's really worth it right now. I mean, he could try to go after Snog. That might be a good bet. He might go after the air grid in the north, trying to limit Babel's air presence. It's probably the 2 biggest targets. I don't know if you could go after anybody else. Probably would not go after Legendlord, being surrounded by all that PD and now a Fat Boy. Definitely not the best idea, but large group of Chevy Crimson units in the east here for Cascade. Cascade was at 49 before he lost all of those Harbingers. Now he's at 46, and he's now increases Redeemer collection to 24. Going to be a little bit hard-pressed for just gunships to fly over and take out those Harbingers. More units being sent over from Sassine to Regulation. And looks like he's dealing with some mobile artillery as well as a decent amount of Percy's. And so that's going to be able to force back Team 2 ever so slightly. Can't just send a monkey in because that would probably be killed off, especially with that Fat Boy nearby. Team 2 definitely has an annoyance here. We could see a nice little turnaround and move west, but there is a Colossus online. And that Fat Boy is pushing in. If Team 1's Master of Seasons doesn't notice the Colossus in this mist, that would not be good. Just due to the fact that that Fat Boy is going to die. Doesn't really have a lot of move around. And it's not going to go well pretty soon. That Colossus should be in view here pretty shortly. And the Fat Boy going to continue to push in, even though there are multiple groups of Harbingers inbound. That Fat Boy is going to die. Even if it wasn't for the Colossus, this Fat Boy is going to die. Definitely unfortunate here for Master of Seasons. Notices the threat way too late, underestimates the threat way too late, and gets killed off because of it. GC gets pinged by Master of Seasons, but of course the damage is done. There is a lot of AA around that Colossus. Cascade really just shoving it down Master of Seasons' throat. We of course see the counter Fat Boy going down here in the middle here against Regulation. He's forced to go back to his main base and hide underneath some shield coverage. Chickens now coming online here for Sassine in the middle. And we do see a monkey assisting Sassine, getting a nice little 250 HP per second just from the comm alone. And he doesn't have any additional, veterancy. So that is just the comm of Sassine pumping on all of that HP recovery. Large group of T3 units outbound here from Snog. It's a decent amount of T1 Titans mainly, but we do see some Perseus. I think it's about a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1 for Perseus to Titans. And we see a lot of those forces for Sassine retreat and try to close the gap. But those units have already poured on through. That chicken needs to finish sooner rather than later, and it will. And it will be able to deter at least most of this outbound threat from Snog in the west. Fat Boy still posing a threat here in the east. Going to target the Monkey Lord. Monkey Lord should be engaging those Harbingers. The Calm of Sassine, 49,000 hit points. Gets a nice little ranking veteran. Actually, does have a ranking veteran, excuse me. 264 hit point regen. Almost at 5 stars as well. And Team 2 starting to force back. That Fat Boy has been pushed back a little bit. How's that Colossus going? Still perfectly fine. PD have been built. Not really going to deter that much, but decided to go westward. Cascade just stomping all over the northeastern corner here. Master of Seasons is underneath the water. Ravagers have trying to be spammed up, as well as some of those triads, those P2 PD. That Colossus is going to make short work of that. Perseus, again, definitely the best T3 unit in my regard in terms of the main line unit, but they're not really good at taking out large groups of units, just designed for taking out main targets, that being the experimentals slash any of comms, that sort of thing. Just the high HP targets is what they're known at. The Colossus not focusing on the PD, at least the T2 and T3, focusing on the T1s. And its laser not even firing. Don't really know what it's doing. Being chased down by some Perseus. Pings do go down. It does look like all those PD have been dealt with. Just constantly grabbing those Perseus and crushing them with his 2 giant vacuum arms. We do see chicken online here. And a second chicken online here for the mini-kin as well. We see Sassine's push starting to peter out here, of course. Is now at 5-star FTC, 52,000 hit points and some change. They're going to be a very tough nut to crack, especially with these Harbingers starting to dwindle. With all of the nasty regen going on. I want to say reclaim for some reason. I guess that's not the worst way to look at it. They're reclaiming their health. And in this case, they're more regenning it. Bricks versus Perseus. We'll fight with the Perseus every day of the week, but the Perseus not really focusing fire and grouping up as well as they could be. Bricks now being outnumbered about 2-to-1 now. And the chicken was killed off, but a second chicken is online here, given over to Mutulau. Fat Boy trying to force back Regulation as well in the middle. So Team 2 had an attack outbound from Team 1 a while ago, but now just returning the favor. Colossus eventually does die. Large amount of mass already being reclaimed by Master of Seasons. Going to get more facilities online to reclaim and pump out those Perseus. We do see ASFs coming in, going to start to rip apart those gunships in the air. ASFs are nearby. We could see the first major air fight of the game, and yes, we do. Nice engagement here from Team 2's mini-kin. Looks like he has the advantage in the air as well. And Babel knows it and will be forced to retreat. Colossus on top of Sassine. Large amount of Team 1 artillery trying to slow it down, but it doesn't matter. Sassine pushed too far forward. He will be killed off. All of his units as well in that explosion. And that Colossus gets down to 14,000 hit points. And Team 2 loses their first player at 31 minutes. Probably shouldn't have been that far forward too much. Should have had, again, a little bit more support. Had he had a couple of T3 mobile shields, maybe if he had more Authams or something, it would have been definitely a better situation. But that Colossus is severely wounded and going to push into Team 2's territory. Definitely not the best move there, considering there is a chicken here, there's a chicken here, and there's more chickens being built. Cascade will inherit everything that Sassine had, and now he's producing almost 1,000 mass by himself. I sense maybe Paragon, maybe T3 artillery spam in Cascade's future, given the amount of eco that he has access to. But no, he's just going to scale it even further with just a bunch of RAS presets. They have triple R air. You think you could afford catching up on air, says Original Angel, going to Snog. Not talking to Babel, because he is the main air player, just saying, hey, try to assist in the air game. Looks like Team 1 bombers are the main target. Second Colossus is nearby, so not... Again, I feel like this Colossus should go home, either, you know, control K itself, reclaim it, build another Colossus, or rep up one or the other. I just don't feel like sending it, you know, straight forward is the best idea. Nother's outbound, trying to target that Colossus. We'll get a couple of bombs off. Won't kill it off. Drop it back to 12,000 hit points. But it should be fine for the time being. Still, that Fat Boy being a menace here for Cascade in the Middle East. Should have been done better, but also wish we could have death with the left attack, so I could have focused don't front. Game, if the Monkey Lord didn't go forward, I win that. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Talking about the Monkey Lord going over there. Had he kept it a little bit back in reserve, maybe he would have won that fight. It's probably what he was getting at, but I don't know about that. Colossus would still have outranged the Monkey Lord anyways. Walking up my comm instead of behind PD. Yeah, the Original Angel commenting in all chat about what he did. And that is good to do a self-assessment and say, you know, made a mistake, probably should have fell back a little bit. Those PDs still online, by the way, that were there a while ago when Original Angel was killed. So, and there are more PD now they're here, now under control of Babel. So, again, it's hard to make those decisions in the moment. Sometimes you could get the kill off it, sometimes you can't. But it is good to take stock and be like, okay, I'm going to do better next time. This one I'm going to try differently. And I do love that self-assessment, so good move here from Original Angel pointing that out, not only to himself, but also in all chat so other players can learn from him. Teleporter is coming online here from Mutalal, so he is going to go for Telemazer. Looks like he's kind of not necessarily thrown in a towel, but just decided to be very, very defensive. And Snog being very defensive as well, only had that one push. So Mutalal is just going to sit there and do what he wants to do. Our T4 Experimental Bomber is online for the mini... Oh, not online, almost online here for the mini-kin. And is there a second Colossus online here for Cascade? No, very surprisingly. Just went for the one Colossus and called it a day. Multiple groups of engineers and Rascoms building more and more mass, whether that is mobile or not. How is his energy production doing? Well, he's at 7,000. Probably needs to scale it a little bit more, especially if he's going to build more and more mass fabs. Man, he is really scaling it. 1.2k. To give that in perspective, Snog on dual base on Team 1 side of the map has half the eco that Cascade has. He alone, Cascade, is almost producing more mass than the entirety of Team 1. That guy is going hard in the paint for that eco slot. Or just eco, you know, how much he's generating. He's produced almost 850,000 mass in terms of either collected or generated, whatever the case may be. It's a ton of mass. That is a ton of mass. Very quiet here in the middle of the map. Just a couple of missile launches firing off some stray shots. I think we'll speed it up just a tiny smidgen for right now. Because, yeah, it just looked like it's just military buildup in the air here for Team 1. We do see T3 air has been established here for Snog. He's going to assist in the air game. We could see Cascade go that way. We do see a T3 air facility online. Isn't going to go for much yet. Does have a comm on a transport. Don't know where that's going to go, but we'll probably find out here sooner rather than later. And no plays for artillery. We do see, of course, that experimental bomber is online for the mini-can. It's no place for ending the game. 35 minutes on the clock. Both teams need to be thinking about ending the game, not just surviving it. More air grid here for Babel as well. Team 1's Master of Season going for more Fat Boys. We do see an artillery very surprisingly far forward here for Legend Lore. Giving perspective, that's his main base over there. This is the middle of the map right here, right where Cascade has a decent amount of T1 mechs. And that's the artillery. Don't really agree with that positioning. Probably should have put it, back here, or maybe kind of lumped it in maybe with Master of Season space, but I just don't agree with the placement there. ASF's running around trying to cover the gunships. We see some Natha fighter bombers outbound going after the T3 mechs, looks like. Almost kills it off. We needed one more fighter bomber, would have been it. So we have the air player of the Minican just being very, very annoying. Word. Ouch. He has more here. Cascade, are you going to try and win with hardy artillery? Even Sassine's like, what are you going to do? And doesn't look like Cascade is responding. Cascade at 1.5. Team 1 at 2K. Still staying in about 400, 500 mass of the entirety of Team 1. Team 2 collectively 2.6. Team 1 at 2K mass income. 36 minutes. I'm going to speed it back down just a little bit. Looks like there is going to be an engagement here pretty shortly. It looks like here in the west, Utala going to start poking and prodding on Team 1's engineers reclaiming, and Titans over here. Large group of units being killed off. Looks like that was from the Awasab bomber. Still online. 50,000 mass kill, 2-star veterancy. Nice grouping. Just one bomb killing off a ton of units there. And bomber, this is if you can, says Sassine, talking about the upper plateau. That's been just a thorn in Team 2's side for a while. Still the one Fat Boy online here for the orange player of Legend Lore, going for another Fat Boy. Looks like he stopped. First artillery is online, targeting the air grid. And some of that air grid is being chewed up as we speak. Minican still has air control. Wouldn't say, I could say dominance, but 71 with 35 restorers, and Minican has 200. Yeah, definitely air dominance, especially with that bomber. But of course, can't produce as much now because he's losing some of his air grid. But of course, we have Cascade coming in with a nice little air grid of his own. So as Team 2 loses something, they repopulate it. 4 chickens pushing the front line against 1 Fat Boy. And 1, 2, 3 Colossus. That could be enough to force this army back, but still, it's a lot of bubble shields, whether it be personal or a little bit bigger than that. And the Percy army is engaging. It's the battle of 3 armies so far. We see restorers moving in here from the west, from Babel, coming in to just hide a little bit behind those Colossus, probably waiting for the ASS from Team 2 to engage. Harbingers being ripped to shreds by Harbingers and Percys from Team 1. The chickens have engaged. First chicken group has taken out the first Colossus. All of the Colossus not in range of the chickens. First chicken has died due to, of course, Colossus and Percy fire. That second Colossus is currently retreating, and that third Colossus is going to die, unfortunately, here for Team 1. Just due to the fact that that chicken is just pumping out damage. I see lightning outbound from Team 2. I think that was, maybe that was lightning. I don't know what that was. I just see ion storms here, but the third Colossus moving eastward now. But that chicken, honestly, at this point, just send both the chickens in and just shove it. Just shove it in Team 1's throat. We see the battle of 5 armies. Chickens, Colossi, Harbingers, ASF, I said Harbingers, Bricks, Percys. I thought I saw an Otham or 2, but maybe not. Oh no, Otham's back here, not engaging, but they're there. So all of the factions getting into it here between both teams. Team 2 looking like they're a little bit better off, but we see some artillery fire from the upper plateau from a nice little Fat Boy from Master of Seasons. And another chicken has joined the fray. And it's now going to just push and push and push. Lots of PD and shields online for Legend Lore. He's going to start moving that Fat Boy back, I would imagine. First, he's trying to intercept those chickens. Second chicken dies. Third chicken will die. And actually, that's the fourth chicken, excuse me, and third. So 4 chickens are dead. Tons and tons of mass here in the middle of the map. And those are really big numbers. 200,000 mass on totality of the map, and I think about at least, what, 150 maybe? 143 on screen. I would saw Bomber over here to the east, and a lot of mobile AA shooting that Bomber, at least shoving it away, at least for the time being. Team 2's attack does fail, unfortunately, at least in actuality, but it doesn't even look like a free kill, says Original Angel. I don't know. Oh, chicken. Having a free kill on that chicken, I'm assuming. Mutalao has the Koi's Telemazer online. Hasn't deployed it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him deploy it soon. Cascade sitting at 1.9 thousand mass. Almost 2K mass here for Team 2's Cascade. Man, he is just pumping mass out. He's not really focused on a lot. He's really just primarily focused on just ecoing. I mean, he is producing some units. Of course, we did see a large army of chickens and whatnot here for him. But his main efforts are just ecoing. What is your RASCOM amount sitting at? That doesn't count RASCOMs? Boo. Boo. Can't just like control L everything. 60 so far. And each one producing, that's actually negative right now, 11. So 660 mass just coming from his RASCOMs. Chicken being annihilated by those restores from the air. And Fat Boy Fire from the northwest. Chicken isn't pushing in, just going after some harbingers, kind of hanging out. Don't know what it's firing at. Now it's firing at those harbingers, but was attacking the ground there earlier. Looks like the ASS from Team 2 did not engage. Shields have been built around the air grid. Artillery is online, of course, for Team 1. Second one is online as well. Fat Boy in production once again. Nuke is online here for Mutalao. He's going for the either very, very long range or very, very short range here in terms of the Telemazer comm and the Nuke. Nuke can be sent anywhere on the map regardless of range. And, of course, the Telemazer has a very limited range. And when I say limited, I mean, like, I don't know. I can't judge distances very well, but a small, small circle. We can illustrate that by the red indicator right here. So not really a good range on board that comm, but again, it's better than nothing. And it has proven to fail a couple of comms, at least at a minimum. Few being probably a lot. Nuke says, Snog, yes, we do see it. Team 1, do you have any efforts in the game? Satellites coming online here for Team 1. Donut coming online here as well for Babel. Nothing really coming online here for Master of Seasons. Of course, at this stage in the game, 42 minutes, both teams only have 4 players left. And now a satellite coming online here for Legend Lord. Probably should put that underneath shield coverage, but also is smart to not put it next to the very explosive nonsense of both the P-Gens and the Mass Fab. So do applaud him for thinking that ahead. But of course, shields. And Mutalao goes after Babel. He was sitting here for a while. Teledefense says Babel, Teledefense. Mutalao is going to get out of there. It looks like he's teleporting up north. Going to go for the air grid. And if Team 1 is paying attention, that's what he's going for. Don't know why there's a wreck for the donut when it's being built. Don't know why that's happening. P-Gens going down. Air grid is going up in smoke. And there it goes. Half of that air grid is down for Team 1. Of course, Snog does have a secondary one over here, but he loses a decent chunk of his air production. And Mutalao now going to teleport over here, going after the other air grid. He's playing the sacrificial lamb play, but he's killed off a comm and half an air grid. And once he continues in, ASF's just charging in here for Team 1, trying to kill off all the air. I don't blame them. They're losing the air grid. Might as well. The bomber is nearby. Definitely should move that out of range, because that's going to hurt if that goes up in smoke without doing a lot more damage. Still only has that one bomb dropped, essentially. ASFs all have been killed off here for Team 2's the mini can. Looks like Mutalao has lost this nuke. Mutalao moves in, taking out the air grid over here for Team 1. Snog, PD has been built. There's T1, but T2 is being built. Will Mutalao get out of there? I don't think so. There's been a lot of bombers being built up in the interim. Should be targeting more of those P-Gens. This one would kill the rest of the air grid pretty much. Oh, take out the T3 air headquarters, at least at a minimum. Oh, he makes it out of there. He makes it out like a madman and gets killed off right there. The official kill is from Master of Seasons, but definitely the majority of that credit does go to Snog. Half that air grid is down. A little bit of the air grid is down. Probably should have gone after more P-gens. Another explosion. Where is it? Oh, it's going after the mass RASCOMs producing those Colossi right now. That's not going to feel good. Artillery is pressuring Cascade. Cascade 2.5 mass. He's producing more mass than the entirety of Team 1. Looks like, actually, it's power related, to be fair. But still, at one moment, he was producing more mass than the entirety of Team 1. 5 Colossus and a Crab walk into a bar. We have a defensive satellite online with 1, 2, 3 Fat Boys trying to slow them down. Crab just does not care. Just going to take Fat Boy fire to the back. The Colossus don't care. Just going to shove their way on forward. Can't afford Mavor or rapid artillery, says Original Angel. We're talking about the Team 1. I don't know if that's really the play now. They had a long time to do it. Snog owns the entire western side, almost the entire western side of the map. And now Mutulao gains everything. No, sorry. Cascade gains everything that Mutulao owns, so that does help his eco a little bit. But it's taken a huge loss in RASCOMs. Dropped to 2.2. Was at 2.5 there earlier. Another wave of Colossus are inbound. Looks like multiple Fat Boys have been taken out. Chickens as well coming in. And those Colossus still pushing in, forcing those Fat Boys back. The Fat Boys need to retreat. Colossus need to keep on pushing forward, and they are given the orders to do so. And as I stated earlier, the positioning of that artillery is not ideal, and this is why the only thing that had to fall was this position. Once it did, Ravagers are being built, but again, too little too late, I feel like. Even if they're killing off the first Colossus, even the first chicken, there is another Colossus and 2 more chickens fully healed up. And that's not going to be a problem there for Team 2's Cascade. He's just going to stomp on top of his competition at this point. There he goes, taking out a Fat Boy from Master of Seasons. And that first Colossus does get taken out. Ravagers refocus onto that Yathotha. That chicken. The chicken is going to die, but again, it's receiving all the firepower, so I don't blame it for losing the will to live. Pigeons are being the ones targeted. Another Pigeon's going to go down, kills off one of the artillery, kills off the other artillery. Team 1 loses both of their artillery pieces. Does have satellites online, bro. This is a GG. They are doing way, way, way better than we did. We're not allowed to speak, to be honest. What? Are you not allowed to speak, to be honest? That's a really weird comment to make. Cascade, of course, was the recipient of a decent amount of the artillery fire as well as the air flare of the mini cannon. But this is shaping up to be Team 2's victory for the time being. You probably shouldn't include me in that fight, but sure. Get out of the ball of fire, says Mutulao. What? What ball of fire? I would say the same here. He just feels like he hasn't done anything with air. I mean, he's done, I think, a decent job so far with air. He had it for a long time, lost air control. But of course, with the teleportation of Mutulao's commander, definitely assisted with taking out a chunk of Team 1's air. More Colossus coming in from the east. Looks like they somehow avoided crushing those wall sets. Oh, actually, they probably went all the way around. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Colossus. One of them is going to fall. And 1 chicken. Lots of Team 1 bombers and Team 3 restorers trying to deter all of these experimentals. New Fat Boy just got built. Hasn't even moved from its initial build position. And Cascade again just stomping on Team 1's front line and secondary lines. More units coming in to assist. That crab looks like it got a brother. Is died over here. Tons and tons of them. Can you stop that with the satellites, please? Says Miniken. Oh, talking about it. It's like, hey, stop it. I'm trying to build a chicken. It's targeting the engineers. It's like, no, you cannot build a chicken. Stop it. And the bomber now just moving around. That way it doesn't get targeted by satellites. And those Colossus still pushing on forward. The chicken about to get a nice little ion storm in the middle of that T3 land base there. And still 2 more Colossus HPs to chew through. Chicken will die on top of that T3 land facility. And of course that Pigeon is definitely going to see better days here pretty shortly. Ion Storm will activate and kill off that Pigeon. Still, they're coming in. Those 2 Colossus aiming for Master of Seasons base. Air grid is now in full swing here for Team 2's Cascade, pumping out ASF. Actually, the air grid took a huge chunk to the face as well, but more air grids are being built. Lasers still being annoying here for Team 2 to deal with. Snog still hasn't really pushed in on the western side. Huge hole in Team 2's defenses that Team 1 is not exploiting. Omega is walking the Ravager. Oh, yeah, he's walking straight into Ravager. That's a lot of Ravagers. And that's a lot of damage. ASFs come in, go after all of the restorers. The Mega is killed off. And that last Colossus will have seen better days. There it goes. Look at that. So many shots. Look at the Ravager bank. Just, you know, build. Pigeons in front of Ravagers. That's probably not a good idea. Shield definitely be a better idea. Looks like Master of Seasons will deter, with the assistance of his other teammates, any incursion by Team 2. And Snog coming in from behind and taking out the rest of these units. And hey guys, there's some reclaim around. Oh really? Oh really? How much is there exactly? Oh, those are really big red numbers. Oh, 737,000 mass. Yes, a little bit is definitely the understatement of the game. How much mass over here? 125,000 on screen for Team 2, just in that corner. Over here where most of the fighting has occurred, 400,000. And then if you account for another group of, let's say this, that's 500,000. 500,000 mass plus. Could build anything in the game twice over, depending on what it is, 3 times, 10 times over. Tons and tons of mass. Still chickens going after Colossus. Colossus going after chickens. Team 1 has the mass to come back in this game, but they need to scoop it all up before Team 2 just stomps it down. We do see more and more experimentals being pumped up by the massive eco of Team 2. Cascade, 1.9 thousand mass being generated. We have 1.9 thousand mass for the entirety of Team 1. Most of that for Snog. He's sitting at 1.2, so still Cascade out producing the entirety of Team 1, and that's gotta hurt. That's a lot of mass income. He hasn't gone for Paragon. He hasn't gone for, artillery. He hasn't gone for any of those strats that you would normally see at this point. He's going for more mass fabs, more Rascoms, more air grids, and more Colossus. That's how he wants to win this game. And be it from me to say, hey, follow your heart. With that amount of mass, I'm not going to contest you what you're going to do with it. He's just going to shove it. He's just going to say, I'm going to bury you in mass. This is essentially what Cascade is saying. Honestly, I'm too tired for this game. We'll stop playing at like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever you play it at. A lot of these games go down kind of early. Well, I guess it depends on people's schedules and all that. But, I mean, if you, do a normal, let's say 8 to 4, 8 to 5, and you're playing at like 1 a.m., 12 a.m. the next day, probably should go to bed. Probably. Especially this type of game where you have subcom brain, you just get tired very quickly and get all of that. Just the game drains you because you have a lot to focus on, a lot to deal with, stress, all that stuff. And really just takes a toll on you. Take out sap bases maybe, says Mutulao. Yellow, get some spy planes, please. Yeah, definitely will agree with that. Need spy planes online. Both teams need spy planes. Everybody needs spy planes. That's what I got to give everybody in the next video is like, you get a spy plane, you get a spy plane, everybody gets a spy plane. Or this video, just give everybody a spy plane now. Why not? Why wait? Just give it now. It's, again, large group of red forces building up. Engineers, and more engineers. But at this point, Cascade just probably doesn't even care. And it's just going to send his forces in. Lots of shields, lots of AA. Looks like that's going to be his move. Lots of AA and a bunch of experimentals. Ravagers now getting another layer of defense here. This is just insanity. Ravage the front line. Look at that mass. So much mass. Oh, so much mass. That's just, I want to see 1 million mass. Just don't reclaim anymore. No one reclaim anything. I want to see 1 million mass on the totals. Oh, it's gone. Wow, it's gone down significantly. Was at 700,000. Now it's at 500,000. 200,000 mass has either been destroyed or reclaimed. That's a ton of mass. But we see a nice little watering cannon of the Scathis coming out of here from Team 2's Cascade. Building a second one, because why the heck not? And he's building it underwater to be protected from the prying eyes of Team 1. going after Snog's position. Snog has built a Mavor. Never mind. He was able to build it. Cascade was defeated by Snog. Oh, oh, lame, says Cascade. He says lame. Team 1 kills the highest rate of play on Team 2 and the one producing all the mass. Now we see the Mini Ken, 2.2 mass generating per second for him. Has one Scathis done, one Scathis firing, isn't underneath shield coverage. Definitely needs to fix that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the artillery, yep, already going to target the Scathis here for Team 2. Will Team 1 be saved by the Mavor? Will it be enough? Is this salvation, as per the title of yesterday's video from Settins, if you haven't watched it? It was like you had one player playing both sides. They had the exact same strategy at the exact same time. Highly recommend that game. It was very, very close game. And that Mavor just going to continue to shell Team 2's position. Looks like it's actually not even targeting the Scathis now. Looks like it's targeting something else, given the arc. Again, second Scathis going to go back in the water now. Going to hide from that Mavor. Looks like it's targeting the air grid here for Team 2's the Mini Ken. And like I said, this could be the thing that Team 1 needs to come back. I was kind of surprised when they did mention you should build it. I thought Team 2 is just going to crush them in eco and call it a day, but I am proven wrong. So far, Team 1 has a nice little buffer zone going on, but all it would take is regulation just to say, hey, I'm going to do a telemaser comm. There's no tele-defense anywhere. There's some Ravagers. That is it. So the Scathis fire is raining down on the Mavor once again. Another Mavor going to be built. And the comm of Team 2's Minikin has been defeated. It's Regulation versus the World. It went from a 4v4 game to a 3v1. Regulation will now inherit everything that Minikin did. And he's producing, that was really weird, 104,000. 2.6 thousand mass. And he's pushing in from the east with multiple groups of experimentals. We have crabs, we have chickens, we have colossus, we have a ton of T3AA. We have even some shields. Where is that? Where is it? I heard it. Where is it? Where are you? Oh, you're over here. The Awasaw has finally attacked that plateau base that's been sitting there since the beginning of the game from Snog. Of course, we have Regulation being targeted by those satellites and artillery. Will this be a kill here for Team 1 to ring it out? Or will Team 2 somehow survive? Of course, it's turned from a annihilation to a assassination game. The Mavor has taken a decent amount of shots in terms of its shielding, has gone down at least a little bit. And shots just ringing all around here for Regulation. Both the satellites and the artillery just toning him in, being like, hey, we see him, hey, we see him, we need to target him. Bug is not completed. Second bug. Crab. How is that group of experimentals doing in the east? Well, it's ripped through Master of Season space. Now we have a Colossus chasing down a crab. We see a chicken just pushing in the Team 1's front line. And even, of course, if the chicken goes down, gets off the Ion Storm, makes a huge difference. That's still at 1 speed. And let's slow that back down. Apologies for that. How is that Mavor doing? What? Not doing great. Of course, focusing Regulation's commander. Regulation does have Nano, able to regen a little bit faster. Still receiving shot after shot after shot of that laser to the top of the dome. He's somehow still alive. I feel like if there was a third laser online for Team 1, a nice little satellite, it would be enough to kill him off. Engineer's not going to build another Scathis. Scathis is underneath some shield coverage. The Mavor is starting to lose it. Need to build more shielding there, Team 1. Hold the line there, essentially. Satellite's still going down. Regulation needs to build more shielding. Is doing that as we speak. How is that push in the east doing? Well, it's now carving through Snog's base. This used to be actual Babel. Now he's getting pretty close to that Mavor. Mavor is losing a decent amount of the shielding as well. The Scathis, of course, is not being fired upon because it's focusing on the comm of Team 2's last remaining period of Regulation. If he survives, that it might be game here for Team 1. That Mavor looked like it was going to be the last glimmer of hope. And that group of experimentals is looking very, very deadly. It's on a collision course. That's why the artillery is so focused on taking out Regulation's commander. If Team 1 can kill him up, that is victory for Team 1. Scath's Fire still raining in. Is not going to help keep that Mavor online, though. I don't even know if Team 1 even knows where that Mavor is. No, they do not. Well, they see all the engineers. They would assume it's probably nearby. Well, they think it's engineers. I would assume that, 100+ engineers would be it. Another Scath is going to be built, and another one, and another one, and another one. Use all the mass. Does he even have mass in the bar? Oh, he does. Oh, he does. Positive 700 mass. Needs to spend that mass. It's spilling on the ground there. You made a Mavor and clicked on Commander, says Cascade. Now kill Snog and then go from there. I mean, yeah. He did kill off 2 of the 3, to be fair. Regulation back up in the green. Looks like the, not artillery, but the Novax centers have been killed off. Actually, we can tell. We can probably find the wreck somewhere. Don't see them anywhere. Oh, it's only showing me on the left side. That's not helpful. But those experimentals are inbound for that Mavor. I heard some explosions. There goes Legend Lord, killed off by Regulation. And Snog Control Case not giving the satisfaction of Team 1 killing him off. It is now a 1v1 game. Master of Seasons versus Regulation. And unfortunately for that Mavor, it is killed off by both Scath's Fire and Experimental, just stomping all over it. Congrats to the 1300. How Cascade won this, I have no idea. For knowing how to dodge artillery, says Regulation. Yeah, I mean, that guy was not even just dodging artillery, was dodging Novak's fire as well. Well, not necessarily dodging. He was taking stuff to the face. To be fair, my brain would have melted. I don't even realize Master of Seasons was still alive. Ouch. Well dodged, says Regulation. 1300 versus 1300, easy peasy. I should have made more. Yeah, there it is. There's that comment by Snog. Should have made more Novaxes. I think 2. No, Ken. They are very useful. No, you got to build those. May the best 1300 win. I think I'm just going to zoom out and watch. There's nothing protecting that commander of Master of Seasons. Spammed. Yes, because spamming torps on a land map is going to be useful, but we see that Master of Seasons throws in the towel. And to be fair, with everything that he was facing, I do not blame him. I mean, 59 minutes on the clock, could have made it 2 seconds sooner, would have been 59 even. Second Scathis was in the yellow, almost in the green, but yeah, I'm going to give it to Team 2's Regulation. Had he not been dodging as well as he was, and of course the building the satellites, building the shields, dodging as many of the satellite shots as he can. He had nano. That's really what saved him. He kept going back and forth from green to yellow. Maybe could have dropped in the red while I wasn't paying attention. But he deserves MVP just for his dancing alone at the end of the game. And, of course, Cascade just ecos the crap out of the game. Dies, gives it over to Ken. Ken dies, gives it over to Regulation. But, of course, by that point, Cascade had built up a ton of experimentals. And really that's what just walked Team 1 down when essentially from Master of Seasons based West said, I'm just going to go west and call it a day. And they even just sat there and going to start to go south. And there it goes. Let me know down in the comments if you felt any particular way about this game and about my pick about MVP. Please, if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And of course, thank you so very much for watching this point in the video towards the end. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate that. And of course, if you haven't done so already, share this video with anyone, everyone, and especially, most especially your pets. And I will see all of you in the next one.